Ground fog is of course very important for Halloween, and many of you probably use the well-known fog chiller with ice for this. I've been doing this for a few years now and it works very well, but a while ago I stumbled across the fog chiller version 2 and it can generate ground fog without ice. And of course that immediately drew my attention to this project. And in this video I built the fog chiller version 2 step by step for you because this is very easy. Then of course I let the two fog chillers compete against each other, and in the end we will see if we have a winner and what advantages and disadvantages are. So this will be a very exciting video with a lot of information for you and a great showdown in the second half. So welcome to Old School Hunter, let's get started. So before we get to the fog chiller version 2, we briefly talk about the conventional model again for those of you who may not be familiar with it yet. So basically it's very simple, and I have my version here, and this is a styrofoam box. This is 60 by 40 by 30 centimeters in terms of dimensions, and inside we have some small walls which slow down the fog to give the fog more time to cool down. Then ice packs will be put into it, and here I use such reusable ice packs. Even ice cubes are not that expensive, but you do not have the mess with all the water when the ice cubes are melting. So here's the inlet for the fog, then the fog goes down, here's the outlet, and that's it. Simple, works very reliable. The only drawback with this model is you need some ice to run the whole thing. And this is where the fog chiller version 2 comes into play. It uses such an ultrasonic water mister to mist some water, and many of you probably know these kind of ultrasonic mister from the decoration. There are little fountains or something similar where the water mist runs through. I can't really explain the physical effect why it works at the end because this is absolutely not my area of expertise, but I suspect that the fine drops of water stick to the fog and make it heavier. If you know the reason why it works at the end, please let me know down in the comments. So now let's build the fog chiller version 2. The main component of the fog chiller is such an ultrasonic water mister. But you don't need such a small thing like this. No, you need several of them. And this is why I got this large model with 12 of them. Then you need a plastic box with a lockable lid, and then we can start. And the box I use here measures 60 by 39 by 28 centimeters. And in my opinion, this is at least the minimum size because you need the large volume so the fog chiller can work properly. For the inlet and outlet I use such wastewater pipes with a diameter of 75 mm. So I first cut the two holes with a diameter of 75 mm into both ends of the box. The holes need to be in the upper part because we need the lower half of the box for something else later on. You have to be careful because these kind of plastic boxes can break easily, so maybe you should use a stronger box here. Alright, holes are in and now it's time to connect the pipes. To do this I printed these adapters on the 3D printer here, and maybe there are some adapters at the hardware store, but I think it's not for 75 mm in diameter. With 4 holes for screwing here, and on this surface I can easily apply some silicone that everything is sealed. Now I drill 4 holes for the screws to attach the adapter, and here I use screws with a size of 6 mm, and this is done for the inlet and outlet. Alright, we are nearly done and now it's time to add the ultrasonic mister. I just put this inside the box at the bottom. I pull the cable for the power supply through the pipe up to the top. Now here's an important thing. If possible, the box should be sealed all around. And since the lid in my case doesn't have a seal, I now stick a sealing tape all along the top edge. This should keep the lid tight and sealed. Alternatively, you can also buy a box where the lid has a seal. Now fill up with water and pay attention to the information provided by the manufacturer regarding the maximum level of water. Close the lid and now put the fog machine on top of the box, and since I have the connection at the side here, I could also put the fog machine behind it at any time. Yes, and that's it, we are done and ready to go. Let's go to the test run and the final showdown of our two opponents.
So alright, for the final showdown I went to the garden, and here we have our two opponents, and this is my test setup here. I only added some pipes at the outlets to keep the setup very simple here, and there are no additional fans inside the pipes or something like that, so we only use the fog machine to push the fog through the fog chillers here. So here is the fog chiller with ice, and here we have some additional walls inside, and here we have the ice packs for cooling. And here's the other fog chiller version 2. So here we have the level of water, and both are set up now. And before we start, some words about the weather itself. So we are at the end of February, and we have about 10 degrees Celsius. We have some light winds. I think you can see the grass is moving. The sun is shining, so from my point of view, these are pretty good test conditions. So let's go for the final showdown.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the red corner, with a weight of 5 kg, the previous champion, the crowd's favorite, the tried and tested fog chiller on ice. And his opponent in the blue corner, a real heavyweight, equipped with 15 liters of water and an ultrasonic mister, the fog chiller version 2.
Alright, let's start with the fog chiller with ice. It's fully loaded with ice packs. The fog machine is fired up, heated up, and I use normal fog fluid here, and the fog machine has 1200 watts. So let's do a shoot here. You have some nice fog here, nice dense fog. It sticks to the ground between the grass, but you can also see how the wind blows the fog away. So we have winds about 9 kilometers per hour, but some part of the fog sticks to the ground. Here's another shot from the other side. You can see how the wind blows the fog away, but some parts of the fog sticks to the ground between the grass. And here's the next day. There is no wind at all, and this is very great. And here I can show you how the fog comes out of the machine. Nice big shoot here, and here you can see the cloud of fog which creeps over the ground. But yeah, about a half of the cloud goes up in the air, even there's no wind, but the other half sticks to the ground between the grass. Looking nice and gorgeous here. So very well, it's a very cool effect. Very nice. So let's come to the fog chiller version 2, and I start the ultrasonic mister here, and you can see how the water is bubbling and what is coming out here in front. This is some misted water. This is no fog from the fog machine. The fog machine is the same, the fog fluid is also the same. So now let's start and fire it up and give it a shot here. So we have some nice high dense fog which is coming out here, but you can also see how the wind blows the fog cloud away. But the fog from this fog chiller doesn't rise as high. It stays more on the ground and it sticks between the grass. Here's another shot. You can see the nice high dense fog cloud here, which creeps over the ground. And yeah, let's take a closer look here between the grass. And you can see how the fog is wobbling here. It's living between the grass. Here's another shot. And let's go to the next day. No winds at all. And here's the big shot. Nice high density fog cloud which is coming out here, and it creeps over the ground. It's like a carpet of fog here, and here you can see how it stays on the ground, so the smoke doesn't rise as high. It's more on the ground, even you have some very small winds, so the fog cloud moves a little bit over the ground. Here you can see it, how the fog moves. And yeah, it creeps over the ground. It's a very gorgeous effect. It sticks between the grass. And now you have some winds from the side, which blows the fog away a little bit, but most of the fog stays between the grass.
So back in the studio, the two opponents did their best, but how did it all end? Unfortunately, the wind gotten stronger during filming, but in the end both fog chillers had the same bad conditions. But you've also seen the enemy for ground fog now. The wind can always crash your party at the end. But back to the topic. The ground fog looked great in both cases. Nice and thick, and the fog flows nicely over the ground as it should. But in my opinion, the fog from the fog chiller version 2 appears to be heavier and sticks better between the grass. But who's ahead now? Well, it's hard to say, so let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages.
So let's start with the pros for the fog chiller with ice. You have some pretty good ground fog, you have a long operation time due to the ice packs, and this brings us a lightweight, and in my case it's 5 kg, and due to that you can quickly move this thing somewhere else. So the cons are the fog is not so dense, the fog disappears normally so a little bit quicker compared to the other one, and you need some ice to run this thing, so it has to be planned when you want to set it up. Now to the Fogchiller version 2, you have heavy dense ground fog, the fog stays longer and it's more stable. It's easier to set up because it only needs some water to be run. And of course you have some cons, and this is the heavy weight, this depends on the size. So in my case it's 15 kg due to the 15 liters of water, so it's not so easy to move this thing around when it is set up. And the most important thing, the floor gets wet, and this is important on tiles or something like that, so you have to know the floor becomes slippery. So before I reveal my favorite, just stop the video for a moment and write me your favorite down in the comments. Just a few words about the topic of operation time. So how long does a Fogchiller of version 2 works until the water runs out, because I wanted to know how many hours can I create a fog with a Fogchiller of this size. So I filled it with 15 liters of water, and then I run the Fogchiller and produce fog every 60 seconds. The ultrasonic mister ran the entire time. The result was surprising to me because the operation time was 5 hours, and then I stopped the test, but the water was not at a minimum level of water at this time. So you can see you can create ground fog for quite a few hours with the Fogchiller version 2 of this size. Talking about the Fogchiller with ice here, I can tell you from my experience the ice packs inside the styrofoam box last about 6 to 8 hours, but this depends a little bit on the size of the ice packs. Well, you are spoiled for a choice, because depending on the area of application how quickly you want to use the Fogchillers, one or the other is ahead here. But if I had to choose a winner here, I would definitely go with the Fogchiller version 2 for outdoor use, because the quality of fog is really amazing. Indoors, however, I would use the Fogchiller with ice, if only because of the whole issue with floor getting wet. This brings us to the end of this informative video. At least I hope it was informative for you. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing, because this way you can support me and my channel. Until the next video, feel free to take a look around here on my channel. There are lots of DIY projects to discover around the topic of Halloween. I'm looking forward to welcome you back in my next video. For today I say thanks for watching, see you next time and take care.